In the year of 1348, a quiet dawn broke over the Kingdom of England, spreading its golden light across the rolling hills and bustling towns that populated the landscape. This was an age when life expectancy was barely 30, an epoch where survival hung precariously on the edge of fate and fortune. The medieval period, a time of feudal hierarchies and rigid social structures, saw its foundations trembling under the shadow of an impending catastrophe. In the rural heartlands, peasants stirred early, rising with the crow of the rooster. Their days were dictated by the relentless churn of the seasons, a never-ending cycle of sowing and reaping, defined by the whims of nature. These villagers, bound by the feudal contract, labored tirelessly on fields that belonged to their overlords. In return, they earned protection and a small share of the harvest. Houses were crude, cobbled together from wattle and daub, with thatched roofs and earthen floors. Despite the hardships, life was buttressed by community ties and the rhythms of the church, a perennial presence in everyday life. Bells tolled for Mass, marking time as surely as any clock could, gathering the faithful in small stone chapels where colorful frescoes painted the stories of the saints. Yet in the year 1348, the ordinary rhythm of life began to shudder. As trade routes expanded, so too did the reach of an invisible killer, the Black Death. This calamitous plague swept through Europe with a velocity that outran even the swiftest horses. It began as a whisper from traders, tales of a strange affliction in the east, but soon reality set in with the thunderous clarity of church bells tolling for the dead. The arrival of the plague in England was not just a statistic or a historical footnote. It was a harrowing reality for entire communities. Fever, chills, and intense fatigue struck quickly, often leading to a swift demise within a week. The disease's path was visible in the swelling, blackened lymph nodes, droplets of pestilence that marked many for a grim fate. Villages shook with fear, witnessing once healthy neighbor after neighbor succumb to the grip of the mysterious illness. In towns like Norwich, once thriving with trade and craftsmanship, life twisted into a grotesque parody of its former vibrancy. Craftsmen and artisans found their workshops shuttered, trade ground to a halt as markets stood empty. The plague was indiscriminate, cutting down young and old, rich and poor alike. Yet, those who survived grappled with questions about the nature of God's will, the fairness of fate, and the fragility of human existence. The human impact of this plague was profound. Entire families were erased, their homes left abandoned, while others faced the agony of burying their loved ones in mass graves. For many, the traditional rituals of mourning and burial were truncated by necessity and fear, leaving grief to fester without closure. But the Black Death, while a horror, also acted as a great leveler. The rigid social hierarchy began to dissolve as labor became scarce. Survivors found new leverage in this imbalance. Wages rose for those willing to work. Peasants could demand better conditions, more freedoms. This new social dynamism planted the seeds of transformation, providing a bitter silver lining to the era's dark cloud. Over time, the cultural transformation fostered by the plague bore fruit in unexpected ways. Literature and art began to reflect the new realities, infusing vagabond tales and skeletal imagery with the poignant acknowledgement of life's unpredictability. Dante, a precursor to this age of reflection, found new resonance as his Divine Comedy framed the struggle of mortality and spiritual awakening. Religiously, the plague challenged the church's moral authority. How could God allow such suffering? Was this divine punishment? Many turned to mysticism or fled to new Protestant ideas that would eventually fracture Christendom. Mystics and heretics gained followers, seeking answers beyond the dogma of the pulpit. This period of the Black Death inoculated Europe with the very seeds of change. It reshaped the social fabric of society, altered economic practices, and laid the groundwork for a gradual shift towards a more modern era of thought. As we close the book on this chapter from the past, we lay left to ponder its legacy. Have we truly evolved beyond the fears and societal upheavals faced by those who lived through the Black Death? How do the echoes of such historical pandemics inform our reactions and resilience in the face of modern global challenges? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this journey through medieval history captivated you, remember to subscribe for more explorations into the profound tales of our past. What period in history do you believe had the most transformative impact on human civilization? Let us know, and let the onion layers of time continue to unravel